The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Whatever you want.
We are back. A's baseball, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And Nancy Finley is here. Jerry Feitelberg is on assignment. And Nancy has a very special guest, and I'm going to have her introduce him to you, and she's going to conduct the interview.
Okay.
I'm going to bow out today. You guys are going to go at it and enjoy each other's company and just have fun with it. Nancy Finley, here we go.
Thank you, Ralph. Tim is a good friend of mine for many years and former mayor of Dublin, City of Dublin here in California, and now political consultant for Eric Swalwell. What district is Eric?
Yeah, we're in the 15th Congressional District in California, so we're in the East Bay, just outside of Oakland. So we don't represent, the area where the Coliseum is, but, in the 15th District, our constituents are, largely A's fans. So it's a good district and supporting our hometown teams. They
pull from all over, really. I remember Fresno, Ukiah, all over the Gold Country. So, Eric, you're close.
That's right. We're really close.
I see Eric on CNN every week.
Yeah, I know. He's definitely, his national profile has risen, but he's native, he's native from Iowa, but he moved out here to California, his family when he was 5, and, has lived in the East Bay most of his life, was a Dublin city councilman before getting elected to Congress in 2012, and our district, that's right, he was a planning commissioner as well, right outside of Oakland.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's 20 minutes, maybe on the freeway, maybe less.
That's right.
So
That's right.
But Eric is throwing the first pitch tomorrow night, Friday, August 3rd.
Yeah, he's really excited. In fact, he's even been doing a little bit of practice. So we'll see how it works out. Hopefully, he doesn't throw his arm out before the game, but he's honored to be asked to do it.
I was interested because when I look at old photos in the 70s, we had our guests sitting behind the dugout, and they would just throw the ball lightly to the manager or a player. Well, it's really morphed. Now, you do want to practice. They put you out there on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah. That's right. Absolutely. You want to, we'll see what he does from the mound or right in front. But it's a time-honored tradition. I mean, presidents have been doing it since, the 1920s, I think. I mean, it's such a history, governors, mayors, members of Congress, prominent people in the community. So it's an honor for him to be doing this tomorrow night.
I've always thought, since Taylor, my daughter did it in 2003, and she practiced too, and I remember thinking, why is she practicing so much? Then I found out. But there should be a website where there's a first pitch, there's the name of whoever threw the first pitch over the years. Maybe it can't fit everyone, but for the AL and NL, I was curious. There isn't anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think there is, but I think it'd be fascinating because I think you get a lot of heroes that throw out the pitch too. You get some, firefighters, police officers, teachers, people doing great things in the community, kids that are doing great things. So it's a great tradition. Really positive things. Time-honored tradition and part of the pastime.
Question: have they ever had someone up who flew on the space shuttle throw the first pitch?
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, maybe in Houston for sure. With NASA being right there, Florida would make sense as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I've always been curious about the first pitch, and all eyes are on you.
That's right.
You're up on that screen.
Right.
But you can't.
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny. You think, it's just a simple little toss, but Yeah, I mean, it's, you're not normally doing something in front of tens of thousands of people. So
there will be a lot of people because with the, as the season has gone on, they're hot.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's been fun. This has been just a great year. I mean, if there was ever a year to be coming out, doing this at an A's game, I mean, this year, especially the way they're playing now, I mean, an A's game, regardless, win or lose, I mean, it's always, you support your team, and it's always a great time out at the ballpark, but it's certainly a lot more fun when you're winning and, as competitive as the A's are right now.
I saw you the first week of the season when they introduced Harvey.
That's right.
So you've always been a big fan.
Yeah, and I've worked, so even though I work for the Congressman, I've worked for the A's since 2005. Even when I was a city councilman myself and mayor of Dublin, I worked for the A's. I work home games, like not that many, because of my schedule, but I always do, 2 or 3 games a month, get out there and, help out in premium seating and, work with customers and make sure that the guest experience is always a positive one.
That's what I remember. Well, Dad used to give me a list and ask me to go and thank season ticket holders for being our longtime loyal customers. But this was in between innings.
Right.
So the risk of getting hit by a ball was always there in Dad's mind. But he had me do that. I was a good runner, and I knew where everything was.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's why Dad liked Hammer, because he could go down into the locker room. I couldn't. So.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you have such a great history with your organization, and obviously your dad and your uncle. I mean, so many great things. I mean, and it's such a rich history, and I think I think even A's fans don't always appreciate how rich the history it is and how successful the franchise has been. You look at the last 50 years, I mean, in all of professional sports, there's very few franchises that have won as many division titles as the Oakland Athletics.
I know, and I don't know if we've put Oakland on the map. I mean, it has its own airport, but people hear Oakland and I just think they're more familiar with it because of that.
Right.
But it really belongs to a large, it covers such a large map of loyal people. Napa, I'm just thinking when we used to look at the season ticket holders, they were from all over, but mostly this corridor.
Correct.
Pleasanton,
Correct.
Walnut Creek.
Right. Yeah, no, they're the East Bay's team. I mean, they're the Oakland Athletics, but they're really the team for the entire East Bay. And, it's great to see how the A's embraced the being back in Oakland. Here we got the Raiders departing, the Warriors departing, but the A's, and President Cavill deserves a lot of credit. He's trying to stay. He's trying to make it work, and he's to be commended for that. And that's one of the reasons I encourage all Oakland Athletics fans is, hey, let's show our support for, the new, leadership, and they're trying to get something done, and let's get out to the ballpark and support them.
They want to be here in Oakland. Who thought that would have been going on just a few years ago?
Right. I know. It's
so nice to hear. So when you start talking about locations, I just think, well, it's going to be here. They want it here in Oakland.
That's right.
So just
that's right.
Support that. just all the support they need. So I wanted to ask is Eric practicing this week? Is his mind on it a lot?
Oh, yeah. In fact, we're doing a big tailgate with his family and his friends and staff members and supporters before the game. We're going to have over 100. We're going to have about 130 people gathering, actually, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be quite a gathering of support for him. So in addition to these, and I think he's got all these tens of thousands of people that will be there, but I think he's more nervous for this 130 people, his family, friends, and staff and supporters. I think that's what's making him more nervous. But we decided let's have some fun with it, and
don't
let's
make
get
him
out
have
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. we'll make sure we support him. We're there to support the A's, have a good time with each other. So weather's going to be nice. Couldn't be better.
Oh, I know. Well, wish him lots of luck. I mean, you don't need luck. You're there. You're going to be there. Stay focused. Be sure you take a lot of pictures, especially of the big screen too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll be doing that.
Oh yes. Well, thank you for being on and helping to promote Eric and letting us know. We're both Dublin. We're both Dublin people.
That's right.
And Eric went to school here.
Yeah. No, he went to Dublin High School. That's right.
Yeah. So, well, I'm excited. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for being a guest. And any other questions?
No questions at all. Just thank you for what you're doing, helping to promote, like you said, the past, present, and future of the Oakland Athletics and all that you and your family have done, helping to build up the organization and build up the Oakland community. And I'm glad you're keeping a lot of these traditions alive. And it's just really an exciting time. Like I said, right now, with the A's doing so well and looking to stay here in town, definitely an exciting time. So thanks again for all your support. We'll look forward to being out at the ballpark on Friday night.
Thank you for being a guest, and I hope every people who are listening buy tickets for tomorrow night especially.
That's right. Great. Thanks,
Thank you.
Nancy.
Thank you, Tim. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm an old man, but for an old man, I got the Nancy part right. We had Nancy Finley do an interview with a guest on the first segment, and I have Jerry Feitelberg for the second segment, and we're going to put them both together, and we'll have a podcast for the week. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing great, feeling terrific, and been busy as usual.
Yeah. What's really great, part of your being busy is you're taking care of your lady friend, and you're a terrific companion, Jerry. I must tell you.
Yeah, but she gets angry at me when the drugs wear off.
Well, my theory, don't ever let the drugs wear off. Okay. Well, you're talking different drugs anyway.
Sure.
But she's recuperating well, and with my drugs, I need no recuperation. So I'm doing just well. So here's a podcast for you, Jerry. You're the most avid A's person I know. You and Patrick Tracy, still on the DL. And I just want your assessment. It's almost like we're dreaming. Are they playing so far over their heads that they're going to come back to expectations, or do you feel they have what it takes to really make a run at a wild card?
No, I think they have to make it a wild card, and not only that, they can win the division. They're only 5 games back. Mm-hmm. They took 3 out of 4 from Houston a week or so ago, and only on a fluke play did they lose that game that they should have won, and they would have swept the Astros, and they would have been just 4 games back. So they do have a chance. They're 30-10 in their last 40 games. That's 25% of the season. 20 games over 500. They're 18 games over for the season. They're playing well. They're playing with confidence. They're getting their rotation is probably the weak link, the starting rotation in the whole A's list of weapons.
Right. They had another guy undergo Tommy John surgery earlier in the week, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure. I cannot ever remember a team having 4 potential starting pitchers go down with Tommy John surgery in the same season. Before the season even started, they lost two. They lost Jarrell Cotton and A.J. Puck. Then they lost Kendall Graveman, who didn't pitch well at all, and we didn't know that there was anything percolating in his elbow at the time. And then we have Daniel Gossett go down. So that's four potential starters that went down, two before the season, two in the season. And most of them are going to be lost for most of the 2019 season, although Cotton and Puck may be back maybe by June of next year. You know, it takes 12 to 14 months for the healing process. So Bob Melvin and the front office has put together a starting rotation where they got a guy off the dustbin. That was Edwin Jackson, who's pitched extraordinarily well for them. They've gotten some mileage out of Trevor Cahill, who's won his last two starts.
He has been pitching very well. Nice to see. Well. Nice to see both he and Anderson, because they were up and coming with the A's like 4 or 5 years ago. And
2012, they were in the starting rotation, and but as things went on, they got traded to other teams and moved on.
Both been very injury jinxed over the years.
Injury prone, yeah.
And
if they can stay healthy and give the A's 6 innings, with the A's bullpen, which is loaded, they have a terrific bullpen, one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. They've got guys like Pagan, Buchter. They only have one lefty. Buchter's the lefty. But with Lou Trevino, who closed out the game yesterday, he's got 8 wins on his record. They picked up Juris Familia, who was a closer with the Mets.
Oh, I know.
And then they're getting and the Mets fans are saying, how could you trade him for what? And then they got Blake Trinan, who's having a carear year. He's got 27.
The bullpen is very solid. May I ask, Jerry? You're a pharmacist, and you have a general feel for medicine. Should the A's be looking into a revamping of their medical and training staff, just on the idea that it may not be their fault, particularly? But look, there's coincidences rarely happen in life, and we're talking about something basically wrong. I don't know if it's all of baseball, and I do know it's all of baseball, but the A's have been hit more than most teams, and even the Mets gave way to a new training and medical staff last year. Not that it helped, but this is crazy. Would you consider it if you were Billy Beane?
Yeah, you have to look at it. A few years ago, Larry Davis, when Barry Weinberg left to join the Cardinals, and after the '97 season, Larry Davis was the head trainer, and they hired Steve Sales as the assistant trainer.
Soupy Sales, my old friend from Spokane. And God rest her soul. His wife passed away a few years ago, died very young. I taught her in traffic school and gave her a ride back to Alameda years ago. So
this is the Soupy Steve Sales from San Diego.
Right.
And
right.
Steve,
we used to call him Soupy.
Steve was the assistant trainer for the Padres, worked with Tony Gwynn way back when.
Right. And they were teammates at San Diego State, as a matter of fact.
Right. Now, good knowledge.
Thank you.
Good knowledge.
Thank you. I gotta have something floating around in my head. It certainly isn't common sense.
Well, Steve was the head trainer. I think they brought Walt Warren up to be the assistant trainer. And the one year the A's had something like 30 guys on the DL, and they let Steve go at the end, and they brought in the new trainer. I can't think of his name offhand. So, yes, they can't hold the trainers responsible for the injuries that are going on. They may say that there's just too much going on. Also, if you remember, the A's let pitching coach Kurt Young go last year. Maybe Kurt left because maybe he wasn't teaching the guys right, or they felt that the players weren't listening to him and they were getting injured. So the pitching coach's job is on the line too.
Well, maybe he was just asking a little bit more money.
Could be.
That's possible.
You mean he wanted to get paid? Yeah.
Well, I don't feel too sorry for the coaches because they are, as far as I know, union members.
Well, they're also expendable. The coaches move around. Boy, do they ever! And I don't think they get the big league minimum what the players get. I think they start maybe at 150, 200,000 a year and go up to 300,000 as a coach. But I don't think they get the 500,000 minimum that the players get. But even so, these guys are baseball lifers. They live, breathe, sleep, eat baseball 24/7. And a lot of them are former players. A lot of them are catchers. Some are pitchers, and like Bud Black up in Denver, mostly. But you got Bochy and Socia who have long careers. They were catchers. Buster Posey probably be a manager when his playing days are done because they see the whole field, and they
I know. I just thought of something, Jerry, and it typifies what's wrong with not only baseball but Americana. You have these guys, then you're waxing poetically about their experience and how much they know, and most of them have been bench players, and they sit around and observe and learn the game, and they're trained, and when they come to the big leagues, and when a player comes to the big leagues, he quickly realizes that coach is making a fifth of what he's making. So automatically, all respect is lost because the American way is to respect the almighty dollar. And once the players don't differentiate what's on back of the coach's baseball cards in terms of statistics with their ability to teach, all is lost, because at that point, is a player who's making $5 million a year going to come to a coach and say, I really want to improve my bunting, and I respect the fact that you're an excellent teacher? Is that likely to happen? I don't
think
it good
that
for
scenario
baseball?
will occur. I don't think that scenario will occur.
No, and when the coach approaches the ball player to teach him how to bunt or hit the opposite way or get a runner over or hit and run or this, that, or the other thing, the player's ears are closed. He's already made enough money to last him the rest of his life and take care of his grandkids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've had guys, you had three managers go in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago: Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, and Tony La Russa. La Russa did not have a great career as a player. Bobby Cox wasn't a great player, but they were great managers. Joe Torre was a great player. He was an MVP one year, and he was a great manager. And he had great players.
You named three guys, and I'll just say off the top of my head that one of those three were great human beings as well, and that was Joe Torre. The other two, I don't know. Could talk off the air about that one. Personal message me. Tony La Russa, A, B, C, D. Anyway, and Bobby Cox.
All I can tell you.
Yeah, Bobby Cox.
In my time with the A's, I never spoke to Tony before a game. after when he went to the Cardinals, and I went over to the Cardinals when they were playing the Giants. Barry Weinberg took me down to the office, and I spent 10 minutes with Tony, and he was most gracious.
Most gracious guy. He's an absolute gem of a human being. I stand corrected. Let's talk it's one of my personal pet peeves, because Tony did my friend and probably your acquaintance. You remember Nick from Books Incorporated in Alameda?
No, I know Books Incorporated, but I don't know Nick.
Well, Nick was a general manager, and he's got great Tony La Russa stories, and he's my buddy. And he gave me an insight as to the real Tony La Russa. So I'm forever prejudiced because of what I know and what most people know as well. But he's a Hall of Famer, and he's great to animals, and I respect him for that.
He is.
And I'm a dog lover, and he founded a wonderful non-profit. And what can I say? We're all a mixed bag from the get-go.
You have to remember, he's one of the smartest guys in all of baseball.
He's a racist attorney from the South, as well.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know that aspect of him. Well, it's never been in the press.
Yeah. Oh, sure it has. Google it.
I haven't seen it. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Well, it is. Google it. But that's another story. I don't want to dwell on the gentleman. But
speaking of ex-A's, what do you think about the story of Sonny Gray and his racist tweets, or what he had when he was a younger man, came out on the internet today?
I know that's terrible. And ordinarily, I would say given that he was a much younger man, I will accept the fact that he may or may not have changed and grown. Remember, they're quoting athletes. You don't quote horse races. You don't quote the horse, so everybody thinks that the horse is like Mr. Ed, very mellow. If the horse can talk, they may talk like the stupid ball players that they quote. I find it's what's fundamentally wrong with social media, and it really gives way to knowing that covert stuff is going on all the time, but when it becomes overt and you hear it and you hear the words and you read the words, it does make you cringe about our society. Not just Sonny Gray, who's got his own problems at this point.
Well, I can tell you, if there was a black pitcher out there, and he felt that Gray insulted him, and if they didn't have the DH in the American League, Gray would have gotten plunked.
He would have, but he made an impassioned speech today that I happened to hear that said, "Go around the locker room. The players here will tell you what kind of a guy I am." Now, I don't know if they took him up on that, but it seems that every week some athlete is doing something that puts not only the sport but the team and society in a bad light. Who wants to think that our athletes or people that we deal with have these kind of thoughts going through their heads? It's very depressing.
Well, look at the team you left yesterday. The A's, of the 8 position players, they had one African American, Mark Semien, and Franklin Barreto. Franklin Barreto is he from Cuba or Dominica? I don't know where in Latin America he's from.
Okay.
But all the other guys, all 6 of them were white, and the A's have been mighty white for a long time. They haven't had that many black players. And
well, how about Davis? Chris Davis is
yeah,
fine.
Chris, he's the DH, but he's not the position player. He's the DH.
Okay.
Yeah. So they do, and this has been a problem in Major League Baseball. The general population of African Americans in the country is about 11%, and there's only about 8% of the players in the big leagues that are African American. Now there are people of color from Latin America, but they're not counted as African American. They're counted as Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, whatever.
Right. Well, there's a lot going on with that in terms of scouting, where scouts want to go, where these guys, Compton, this, that, and the other thing.
Sure.
But it is a problem that less blacks play in the big leagues today than did in 1961.
For sure. For sure. We had Frank Robinson, Henry Aaron, Roberto Clemente was Puerto Rican, but even so, they did have a lot of dark. Orlando
the guy named Mays playing.
Willie McCovey.
You had a center fielder at every position in the National League. Every team in the National League that was black. You had guys like Kurt Flood, and you had Billy. I used to call him Bruton.
Billy Bruton.
Billy
He made him French. Okay.
Yes, he was. And there was a guy that had a very interesting life. He retired from baseball and went to work for General Motors, I think it was, and worked many, many years. He was high up in the union and this, that, and the other thing. One of my favorite players. I was a big Brave guy after the Giants left New York. They were a tremendous team with a number of blacks: Wes Covington, Bruton, and Aaron in center field. And this is 1958 that I'm thinking of. So it was different times, but we have in baseball opened the world. It's become an international game. And blacks seem to do better think they can do better in basketball and football for one reason or another, and can't get into that. But I know it isn't any inherent prejudice that the A's have in any way, because Stewart and Vida Blue, they're welcome.
Sure, Ricky Henderson, Dave Henderson.
Exactly. They named the field Ricky Henderson Field. They were in Oakland.
Sure.
For crying out loud. You're not saying it's anything the A's make that clear, that the A's are not hiring
not at all.
Or signing blacks.
It's just the way it occurs, because there are less black players in the big leagues these days. And you brought up a point. If you go to an NFL team, I don't know the percentage of African Americans in the NFL. They have 53 jobs plus the practice squad. So and let's say it's 80%, so maybe 40 or 45 of the players are black. And you multiply that times 32, there are a lot more jobs for black players in the NFL and in the NBA, where some teams are 90 or 100% black.
And you got a big thing going on in the NFL that I can't help have cross my mind when you mention that, and that's the failure to stand up for what people conceive is the national anthem. That's not what it is. These players are taking a knee for social injustice, and it makes me crazy go nuts when these owners and the commissioner and the president of the United States expect these players to go back to the Uncle Tom days and not voice their opinions. So
I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And somebody asked me, does that happen in baseball? Well, only one time, and that was, maybe you can give me the details. was a catcher the A's had, Maxwell.
Bruce Maxwell.
Bruce
last
Maxwell
year.
did not stand. Tell me that story. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, it was late in the season. I think it was in September when he started it. He took a knee, and he had the support of his teammates. They all had their hands on his shoulder. So the teammates were supporting him and you have to remember that Bruce's father was in the military. He was a military brat growing up. So he knows all about the military, and he respects the military. It had nothing to do with not respecting the flag. It had to do with social
nothing
justice.
to do with it. And Collenbach, who has been the quarterback with the Niners who started it all, can't get a job. He's eventually going to sue and make billions of bucks. And it's going to come to light where the owners are trying to get everybody to stand, everybody to come out of the locker room. One thing, they didn't consult the players union.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
big deal.
A big deal.
And you have to remember, Kaepernick's adopted parents are white, and yet Kaepernick grew up in Turlock and went to Turlock High School, and then went to the University of Nevada, and he had some success in football. And he got a nice contract, and he said right off he was not protesting the American flag. He was protesting social injustice in the country.
Why didn't those statements then and now hold water? Why don't, in other words, they're fine with me, but why didn't people, the league and the other players accept it as that? And if you want to stand, if you believe in it, you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Or don't play the ridiculous war song to begin with. How about that?
Well, it's exactly what you said. They want to go back to the Uncle Tom days, where the owners say, "This is what we're going to do. You do it, or else," and or else is getting fired.
Right.
And so it's quite, I don't think anyone watching the TV you're watching TV to watch the football game. If someone wants to make a protest, that's fine with me. I don't care.
Okay. Let me call.
I didn't get it.
Oh, okay. Only because we're running short on time, and I wanted to cover the double play combination of Simeon and Barreto. It seems he's gotten some play in the last few days, and he's coming up. He's the guy that the A's got for Sonny Gray.
No. Barreto came in the Donaldson trade with Toronto.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm all screwed up, and maybe you
He was
corrected
18
me
and
on
19.
that before, but he's playing some good ball. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Dustin Fowler came in the trade, and a pitcher by the name of James Kaprelian, who probably will be up with the club next year. He's recovering from surgery too. I think he had Tommy John surgery.
Well, Dustin Fowler seems to have been beat out by Mark Canana. And
you mean Nick Martini?
Who's playing? Where's Mark Canana's playing left?
Martini's playing left. They moved Canada to center.
Yeah,
center. And he's doing a fine job.
They moved him to center, and he beats out Fowler for the time being. And so you got a lot of good young outfielders coming up. Again, I can't say enough about Piscani, and I will say that first baseman, Matt Lugo,
Olson. Matt Olson.
But Tally's last name is Olson, and the name slipped my mind. I'm getting old, I'm telling you, Jerry. I know you're right behind me, but it's not a pleasant thing. He's the best fielding first baseman I've seen in a long time.
How about the third baseman, Chapman? He's phenomenal.
He is. And
he made a play yesterday. He got it, spun, and he beat out. The throw to first, he's got an arm like a cannon, and he beat the runner to first. And the guy had speed.
Yeah, he does have he's a little erratic, but he's been pulled out of the fire by Olson on a number of occasions.
Sure, both of them are good.
What's
Both of
interesting,
them
he went to school with Arrieta, the guy with Colorado, who is equally as good, if not better, at third base.
Yeah.
So
Nolan Arenado was a year or two ahead of him at the high school, and I think they're from San Diego.
Well, you do have an encyclopedic mind, Jerry Feitelberg. Come back next week. We'll talk more A's baseball, and until that time, how about that?
Yeah, we'll have a good report next week. The A's are playing the National League. I think they're in second place at the moment, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that should be a very attractive two-game series. The A's are off Monday and Thursday next week. And so I think they finish the homestand, go to Minnesota for a short trip, then come home. They got a lot of home games, and they can make hay at home. They have to if they want to close in on the Astros. They have 6 games left with the Astros, 10 games left with the Mariners, and if they can continue to play good ball, they can pass both of them.
Beautiful.